Hello everybody, my name is Kat Bowser. I'm your resident fantasy therapist, and welcome to my channel. Those of you who are brand new, welcome. Those of you who are returning, welcome back. For those of you who are new, my name is Kat Bowser. I'm a licensed therapist, but I am also an author working on my first novel. And on my channel, I like to dig into what I consider to be the heart of all writing, which is the characters. The heart of the characters is in their psychology. So that is the angle we take with everything on my channel. We look at it from a psychological angle, because I feel that really helps to make a more well-rounded world. Today we are tackling the next intelligence in Gardner's multiple intelligences, and that is intrapersonal intelligence. So this video is probably gonna be the shortest of the group. Not necessarily because there's not much to talk about, but because it's very self-contained, and it's not one of those things where you're going to necessarily have a bunch of careers around this. This is more an intelligence that enhances other intelligences. But that being said, let's at least talk about what it is. So intra means from within. But intrapersonal means someone who is very much aware of their inner self, their feelings, their motivations, their goals, and they understand and reflect well with them. So the best way to spot this character, they're going to be confident. These are going to be people who know what they're doing, they know how to do it, and they have a goal set, and they're going to achieve that goal. So this is something actually that probably your main character may develop, but they may not have at the beginning. Because usually at the beginning of a story, we usually have a main character that is in need of growth. So they aren't necessarily where they need to be. So they would be developing this as they go. Now, this is something perhaps your mentor character can have, and usually will have in great spades. The other thing to consider with this one is these are people that are very good at self-regulation. And by that I mean someone who recognizes when they're starting to get angry, or when they're starting to get sad, or when they're starting to get depressed. These are people that recognize what's going on. They understand when they start to do a certain activity. Okay, here's my emotion, here's what this means, here's what I need to do in response. One good example of that is whenever we are teaching anger skills, anger management skills to people, one of the first things we teach them is how do you recognize when you're getting angry. And this is someone that has strong intrapersonal intelligence is going to know right off the bat. So a good example is some people moderate better by what they physically do than necessarily what they feel. Reason for that is when we do things that are physical, they're much easier to catch. So someone that may not recognize when they're starting to get anxious will recognize that if they're starting to bite their nails a lot, that's a symbol of inner anxiety. Or someone who recognizes that when they start to get angry, they start to pace, or they start to clench their fists, or they clench their teeth, their jaw starts to hurt. All these physical signs are symptoms of an emotion and a feeling. So someone that has strong intrapersonal intelligence, it doesn't necessarily mean that they're going to know right off the bat, okay, well, I'm getting angry, I'm getting frustrated, I'm feeling abused, I'm feeling like nobody's listening to me. They may use symbols to tell themselves that. They may just know, okay, if I'm starting to act this way, that means that I have an emotion going on, and I need to figure out what that is. A lot of times we tell people that these are symptoms that are telling them, okay, you need to step away and figure out what's going on. Because some emotions are hard to figure out. Anxiety and excitement can feel the same. Anger we generally regard it as a secondary emotion, meaning that there's something else under the anger. So I know some people don't like that term, but really what it means is that there's something, anger is a trigger mechanism and it's protecting you from something. So, what is it protecting you from? And usually, when you dig a little bit, you get to, well, I'm feeling this way because I wasn't treated fairly, or I'm feeling this way because I'm afraid. I don't want to have to deal with whatever it is I'm dealing with. Those are important things to consider. So, if you're writing a character that has strong intrapersonal intelligence, like I said, it's not going to be their only intelligence, and it's probably not even going to be their main one. But what is going to stick out about it is they're going to understand themselves pretty darn well. They're not necessarily going to be the characters that are feeling lost or unsure. These are going to be your confident people. These are going to be your folks who take charge of a situation because they understand I need to do X, Y to get Z. So, like I said, there's not a ton to talk about with this intelligence simply because it is so self-contained. But I definitely think one thing to consider is that these people are not necessarily good at empathy. We would think they would be because they're such a strong, they're so good at understanding themselves. But understanding yourself is a lot different than understanding somebody else. So, for example, if you have a character who recognizes all their inner signs of, okay, I'm starting to get angry, I'm starting to get frustrated, this means I need to go and alleviate myself by running or jogging or whatever it is that they do. But if they have a friend who has completely different symbols when they're getting upset, they may have no clue that their friend is upset. And that can lead to conflict because most of the time the other people are like, you do so well with yourself, why can't you understand us? And that is a different skill. That's interpersonal, not intra. Now, can someone have both? Absolutely. You can definitely have both. And having both isn't uncommon. But I think making the assumption that someone has both is a mistake, because I think some of the more interesting characters that I have read about have been characters that don't have both, that they manage themselves very well. They're usually very successful. They have careers. They know how to do what they need to do. But when confronted with family issues or issues with their friends, they are lost. They have no clue what to do. They lack people skills because that's not what this intelligence is about. So I think that's fun. That can be fun to play with. And I think it's important that we kind of get that out there, that these two intelligences do not necessarily go together. They often do, but they not necessarily. And when they don't go together, it's important that the other people in the relationships that they're with learn to communicate with them and say, okay, here's how you can tell if I'm upset. Here's what I do when I'm upset. Then the person can work with that. Like, okay, that's a different symbol than I have. I can work with that. But you got to communicate for that to happen. That is usually the breakdown of so many things. So many conflicts could be resolved if people would just listen and communicate with each other. But that is another video.